Hey guys, good morning. This is Kyle, and I'm here to talk about a little bit more of my aquarium post GFO carbon edition, and just kind of give an overall update as to what's going on. All of the fish are really happy now. So I'm going to give you a quick kind of talk about what. Here, I'm going to close the door real fast. What has gone on since kind of the beginning as far as livestock is concerned. So because obviously in the beginning I had multiple green chromies, and so let's just kind of talk about what happened and has been happening. So I was going to, I had a blue tang, a powder blue tang. It did in fact have a parasite on it, and I was thinking it was ick. And it probably, in fact, was. It was definitely not velvet. So basically, there was a time of about 2 months that I did not do much here. Now, the previous ones, when I was adding the GFO and the carbon, I had already addressed that issue. I pulled all the fish out. I did the swap, back and forth. I was trying to document it as well, and that's what I've been kind of working on. It just didn't turn out. I mean, the fish did die over. I didn't do it, I didn't act fast enough. So, I would say that's my fault. But on the other hand, I just didn't document it as well as I wished I had, or because it takes a lot of effort to actually keep that up. All the fish are completely clear and clean, and after a 72-day fallow, multiple water changes and everything else, and then I had the fish here flipping back and forth every 72 hours. So the tank is clean now. But then in that, I had also, I'll tell you, I used a product for ammonia reduction, and I've used this product in the past before on freshwater tanks. This is Amquel, and I'm going to say the fact that it removes ammonia, sure, and it does a great job at that. The problem is, and I would take caution and heed to anybody who's doing this. You're supposed to check your readings pretty much daily. I did it first, and then I kind of got out of that habit. And shame on me for doing that, because once I got into the final tank, where after the switching had been over with, I stopped checking because, well, I'm not switching them back and forth anymore. And so I stopped checking the pH as much. I was checking the ammonia, which was reading 0 because I was treating it. So I didn't realize one day that everything just looked super lethargic, and it was just not in a good place. And so I started doing readings and everything, and the tank even looked a little bit cloudy. And something that people might not know is that when the tank looks cloudy like that, check the pH, because at low pH, salt will precipitate, which looks cloudy. So I checked the pH, and it was like almost unreadable it was so low, so acidic. It was terrible. So I freaked and went into emergency mode, pulled fresh water out, quickly dropped the fish into that. I mean, we're talking within seconds they were happy again. So I opted to go ahead and bring them back into the main tank after the multiple water changes, and just figured, hey, this is probably for the best. So I went ahead and did that, and everybody is in fact happy. I lost some of the chromies in that. They did not tolerate the low pH, so that's what happened basically. So with all that, and kind of without further ado, we're going to talk about today's process and what we're going to do. Alright, so now that the less than pleasant ideas have been talked about, what we're going to kind of go to now is the GFO and the carbon. Really, the thing that prompted is it's time to empty the skimmer, and you can see that it is obviously working very well. And I think part of that is, if you notice up here, well, it kind of looks blown out and everything, but all the little green lights are on, which means that the skimmer is running at 100%. Since I got it, it never would let me do that before. It always overflowed. Like it would bring the water level too up. And I pulled the I was trying to get that egg crate to set on top of it, and I could never do it well. Like I did not prefer how that worked. The only thing that I can attribute that the reasoning for why this is working is this whole system and setup, like the way that I have the overflow going down in here. My bubble situation is basically non-existent. Like I just don't have any issues. So that's kind of it's a great thing. But then the other part of it is that the skimmer is able to work more efficiently, so it's pulling more crap out. It's a little more wet even still than I would prefer, but I'm not going to complain about it. I'm pretty happy about it. So I just noticed it the other day, and the fact that here's a great sign for anybody who's kind of new. Whenever you start getting rings, that means that at one point the bubbles were pushing up through here, even though they got pulled back down. That's an indication that you're full, or even over full, obviously. So it's time to change it. That just showed up last night later, but it was too late for me to screw with it last night, so time to do it now. So in doing that, though, let's talk about some other stuff, because some people who are observant might notice that there's some salt creep here on these cables back here. That has been the number one, I would say, annoyance with this setup that I created here, is now the bubbles, the micro bubbles that are being formed are popping and releasing, water's hitting up on this. So, and I mean, it's on all the little tubes, it's on the underside of the skimmer here, it's on the drainage pipes, it's on the electrical cable for the skimmer, it's on the outside edge, it's hitting the wood even of the stand. And that salt creep, I mean, if you don't know what it is, I'll just go as far as complete basic layman's terms. What happens is that salt does not evaporate. So those little micro bubbles of water hit, that's salt water. The water will evaporate over time, but the salt remains. That's what that is. It's not a big deal. It's just salt. I mean, I wouldn't suggest it, but you could pick that up and eat it. It's salt. But it's the same salt that you put into your tank, and it's not table salt, so don't do that. So that being said, that has started happening, and I mean it's all over the UV tube, even going up and coming down. So it's non-desirable. I don't prefer it, that's for sure. It's really localized though to right here. It's not anywhere else across, because those bubbles are only coming up right here. The dam system is working. Ha! That almost sounds like I'm cursing, but no. The damming system, it is working really, really well. Like very well. The little hole, like this actual system here, is working very, very well. I have the largest micron filter sucks. I literally just want to pick out the very coarse poo. It's working perfectly well. These guys are working incredibly well. Now, some people may notice the weak stream, and what that is quite literally the indication that it's time to change. Another thing is, if you look at the GFO, it's actually like black, and the color has been completely, it's no longer that reddish color. It almost looks like carbon from here, and I mean carbon there, and it's the same color. There's no color differentiation. So that is a great indicator that it's time to change. I probably even waited maybe a week too long for that, but we're going to do it today. So, and I'm going to kind of document the change and how it plays out, because I've never had to do this before, and I was kind of nervous about emptying this massive thing of water and, yada, yada, yada. So what we'll do is turn the actual cutoff here, and that way I'm not having to screw with this guy for the tuning. I'm not turning the gate valve all the way off. I'm just going to turn this cutoff valve, so I'm keeping my tuning intact, which is why the manifold is a great thing. And I'll turn this off again so there's no back, like, air pressure, although I don't think it works that way, but I'd rather have a static area in the middle. And then we're going to clean all this up. I mean, I'm literally going to take paper towels and just knock it back in. I want it to redissolve into the tank anyways, because that's going to be salinity removed from the tank. So I'm just going to take paper towels, damp it, you know, wipe it all off, you know, and get it in as best I can back into the tank for it to redissolve. And then I'm going to show you, a buddy of mine showed me kind of a way that he went about controlling this issue for his setup. And yeah, so we'll kind of do that. First thing I'm going to do, though, just because it's necessary, I'm going to empty this. And you don't need to watch that. I mean, you unscrew this, very carefully take it out, and I'm going to simply dump it in the toilet, because some people say, oh, use that in, you know, garden or something. Yeah, no, I'm okay. You know, I don't have a garden anyways, so I'm alright. But I'm going to clean out the cup, get it back into place. And for that, for me, all I have to do is I'm going to put this into feed mode, so it turns the pump off, and I'll just unscrew it and put it into the garbage, clean it out in the bathtub, and then I can clean the bathtub, because otherwise the wife would be mad. Then we're going to switch this out and put it out, and that will be fine too. Then I'm going to show you this. Alright, so that nasty business has been handled and taken care of. I'm going to renege on a previous statement that I made after my experience. So here's the skimmer cup clean. I didn't like scrub it or anything, and I'll tell you why. That was about the easiest clean out of the skimmer cup that I have ever had, and it was solely, and I would say most likely, due to the amount of wet skim. I'm not going to change the settings at all. There was a little bit of solid, well, a lot of solid particulate in here, but I realized that most of what I had captured and collected was the liquefied version of stuff. Again, some solid masses for sure, but most of it was actually just, you know, gunk, just muck. But it was still mostly in fluid form rather than solid, dry stuff. And I realized that it was about 10 times easier to clean out than it has ever been in the past. I mean, that took literally 5 minutes to clean the cup without a brush. Like, I just very gently poured it into the, I actually put it into the bathtub and poured it in, and had I have a detachable shower head that was pushing the water back towards the drain, so it never went, you know, more than a foot or so away from the drain. And it really just worked super well. So I'm probably going to continue that level of skim. I might try to dry it up just, I mean, a skosh, a small amount, but I am very satisfied with that. One thing I want to bring up, just, I mean, it should be common knowledge, I hope, but at the same time, maybe not. Point to consider and remember is that whenever you're dealing with this stuff, you're cleaning poop. It is poop and dissolved particulates that are waste. Your hands are filthy, even though, like, they don't look it, and you've been touching and messing with poop. Please keep hygiene in the forefront of your mind. Don't do this around lunchtime when you're tempted to go grab a sandwich. You know, just think about what you're doing whenever you are dealing with all of this stuff. You know, don't let kids be around unless they are trained and know what they're doing, because again, it's bacteria. It's pretty gross. So just keep that in mind for yourself. You're messing with poop. Then the other side of this is really kind of what I realized and thought about, because I was about to wash my hands. Your hands, if you wash your hands because they're dirty, it's antibacterial soap. That means it is non-discriminatory. It kills all bacteria. Good bacteria, bad bacteria. This would be bad bacteria, yes, but as I'm about to go work in here, that residual antibacterial soap is on my hands. It's going to kill bacteria here.
We really don't want that here. We want to keep this bacteria there and here. So I did not wash my hands right now. I rinsed them with just tap water, but we do not want to wash our hands if we're going to be messing around still in here. After the fact, when we're all done, absolutely, please wash your hands. It's disgusting if you don't. But for this and what we're doing, you need to realize, cross-contamination, it's just like in food. Your hands, that residual will be on them. If you start messing around in here, it's going to get off of your hands into the system and it's going to kill bacteria. Horrible thing to do. Do not do that. It will screw your system completely if you go messing about with that. So don't do that. Alright, off that soapbox. I'm not going to put this on. I'm actually going to set this aside until I realize it'd be much easier to have the elbow room. I get this stuff taken care of. And I'm going to pull these off first because then it would be easier to deal with these. I'm going to pull these off and kind of see how simple it is. First thing I'm going to do is just simply turn off the valve up here. So that's off. Water comes to a halt. Then I'm going to turn this one off here. Again, just creating this is closed inside. And then I'm going to press and depress the red buttons that are on top. There's no way I'll be able to get to them. So press that one, I'll press this one just to make sure that any excess pressure is out of the system. And then I'm going to see how easy this is to do with one hand. Maybe not at all, but yeah. I'm probably going to have to get, and the thing is that salt is on the base of this. It's a finer film, but it's definitely present. So I'm gonna have to grab my little wrench piece to just help that off a little bit. Yeah, I'll be right back. All right, so here is the. I just took my little wrench that came with it. I slid it up and I just loosened it, so now they're finger loose. So I'm going to do this, and again, I'm doing this one-handed. So. If it makes a mess, it might have been not the case if I had both hands to mess with it. So we'll see. Which it looks like, really, the water's contained. I mean, I'm looking at the top there. It doesn't look like it's going to try to dump out like crazy, which is a good thing. We'll try to come in Alright. I might have to set the phone down. Let's see if I can get this done. Yeah, I think any catastrophe that happens here is probably because I'm solely using one hand. So if something crazy happens, it looks like we're almost done here. Yeah. Oh, there it goes. You know what? Not too bad. Not too bad at all. So now I can just dump in here. A little level. That is painless. That is pretty painless. You do that one-handed. I have to say that I'm thoroughly impressed. Now you can see exactly what salt I'm dealing with back there. I'm thoroughly impressed with that. So now I'll basically dump as much of this water back into the system as I can here. Excuse me, I have to itch my nose. And then basically this is the GFO. I'll pull this out and it's heavy. I'll pour the water back in. I'll pull the little canister out. Actually, technically, I guess you don't even have to pour the water out. Sorry, my nose is itching. I'll just pull this little piece out the top here, which you can buy replacement pieces, and I wish I had, because that would be much easier to deal with, but maybe I will do that next time. Yeah. So we'll do that. I'm going to pull this out, replace the GFO, and put it back into place. I'm just going to do the same thing for the carbon. I assume you can gather that it will be easier with both hands, but I'm going to pull them out and set them aside, and then I'm going to clean this out. Alright, so now it's time to deal with the salt creep, which I've already kind of done a little bit of cleaning. It's really simple. I take a paper towel, you just dip it into the water. I have mine completely saturated wet. And you just simply wipe the salt off. I mean, it is salt that came from your aquarium up front, so that's okay. I mean, I'm starting from the back and trying to brush salt in. I've already wiped down this guy, wiped down the front of the skimmer here, but for this, for example, sorry, it's loud here. Just to go in. And then just to touch it in there to where the salt will actually, you know, redissolve here and go back into the system. I mean, any salt that's here is salt that was from the system to begin with. So all we're doing is knocking it back into and redissolving it into the system that it came from. So that's all I'm doing here, is just doing this, and then I will show you kind of my solution to, not my solution, a friend's solution to how to fix it. Alright, so that is much better. Let's see if I can get the color work though. Okay. And in all this, I discovered something. So it's much cleaner. I pulled like the skimmer cable. I never intended for this to be like this because it's hanging on top. I intended to wrap it around underneath the drain pipes and put it where it is now. So I'm going to reroute that. In doing all of this though, I discovered something. This back, you can't really see it, the back drain right there, the little PVC that I had submerging the output fell in. It's not actually there, which is why it's so much louder. I had just accepted it, and because I guess over time I just, you know, got used to the way that this sounds, and so no big deal. But yeah, I'm gonna have to go fishing down in there and try to recover that, or you know, which is probably why this has even gotten as bad as it is, because water is directly splashing right there onto the surface of the water and not just bubbling up. So that's a good pointer thing to know, is that that's possible. So I'm gonna dig down in there and fish it out, and then place it on there, and you know, it's just keeping clean, keeping maintenance, and keeping stuff organized. It's really, it will reveal this type of stuff, and that's why you've got to do it week in and week out. But that's why it's a hobby. It's something that you need to be sold out to enjoying, because, you know, in the end, they're the ones that suffer if you fail, or if you, you know, choose not to do things. I mean, they're the ones that suffer because of it, and that's, you know, that's an ethical thing. You've got to know what you're getting yourself into. So, all right, I'm going to continue cleaning this out. I'm going to recover that piece. I'm going to replace my carbon GFO. I mean, I don't really feel like you need to know know how to do that. It's pretty simple. You just, you know, empty this, rinse it out, replace. It's not difficult. So I think that you can get that on your own and understand it. I'm just going to do those things. This video is long enough. I'm going to recover that piece, and then the last thing I do want to show you though is how to avoid even a little bit of salt spray and salt creep. I'm going to try to show you what my friend told me and what's worked really well for him. Alright, so I really want to take serious note of this. Let's see if you can see now. Okay. I have both of those pipes on. It is significantly, I mean significantly quieter. There's so much less bubbles in here. I almost think that this whole thing is the issue with my salt creep 100%. Because I mean, I even opened the pump. The main pump here is, I mean, it's full open. And it just doesn't even matter, and there's no large bubbles really. I'm still going to do what I was planning on doing, but oops, sorry, I'm not showing you. I'm still going to do what I was planning on doing here, but by covering it, and I'll show you that here in just a second. But that was the number one thing. I was also able to fish out the piece that fell out. I replaced it still with the green tubing just because I had it, and why not? It actually sticks into the plumbing a little bit easier. So, mental note, if there's ever a crazy salt creep problem like that, check why we're getting those kinds of bubbles. I mean, every once in a while you see a big bubble pop up here, so that's totally a contributing factor, but yeah, the number of bubbles and the loudness before, I mean, it's so much quieter now. Yeah, sure, water's falling and flowing into that, but it's so much quieter. So, yeah, I'm really excited for that aspect of it. Okay, how to fix the micro bubble issue. Glad Preston Steel, and there. I'm not endorsing anybody. This stuff though is awesome for this purpose. He literally said he just cuts a slit to where the pipes can go in, and he presses it around the pipes. Using a little extra is not a big deal. You press and seal it around the top. I'm going to make a little kind of just an area where it will get to maybe right here, so I can still easily change the socks out. But that's really it. I'm going to go from the top of this dam up and then around the pipes and cover it there. And we're going to see if that even assists further with doing it, with keeping the salt creep to a minimum. All right, I'm just going to say, even from just putting this one little strip on, I can tell immediately and already that the bubbles are there's little specks that hit this, and so this is immensely going to help with the salt creep issue. So what I'm going to do is just really wrap it all around. One thing I would suggest, cut smaller pieces than you think you need, and then the other thing is also turn off any ceiling fans, because this stuff is very difficult to deal with whenever there's a breeze. So just kind of points of notice. But yeah, I think this is going to work really solidly well. So yeah, I'm just going to really pack in. I think dealing with smaller pieces is going to be easier. This might be a little bit too small, but tearing it after the fact is a bit of a pain. It just kind of tears apart like plastic does, obviously, because it's plastic. But yeah, I think that this will work out really well. I'm probably just going to slice this in half, height-wise, like cut it like that way, and put it on either side of those pipes and call it a day. So, all right, there you have it. It's pretty simple. I went underneath of the UV line return. I tapped it down. It doesn't seal like it does around like glass and stuff like that, but it definitely flattens, so water and stuff wow. All this, I just tapped it down so that water's not going to get out that way or here. It's pretty pressed down on the water dam there. It does work better if the surface is very dry, so making a point to dry that would be a good idea. I can already tell that it's catching droplets, so I already know it's going to work. Just a matter of doing it. So anyways, I'm going to go ahead and conclude the video here. Like I said, I'm going to switch this stuff out. Man, I would highly recommend the reactors. I still think the water's more clear than it's ever been. There's little micro bubble stuff right now, but I'm sold that having those reactors is a good thing for my tank, and the UV the same thing. I'm sold that it's a good thing for my tank. So anyways, I'm going to go ahead and call this a day. Thanks for watching along, and I hope you guys are at least learning. Hit the like, share, subscribe, all that kind of stuff. Happy to just go along through this with you. So best of luck and have a great day.